All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Gary, Daniel, Carl. Nice to see you. Whew, how we doing today, guys? Everybody's patience bone worn out after yesterday. Good morning, Bobby T. I was talking with my brother yesterday afternoon, and we're like, man, it was a pretty slow market. There weren't tons of rules-based trades in there. Um, and there were a few. There was still opportunities to make money there, guys. Ah, good morning, Discord. All right, everybody. Discord says good morning. Wants to make sure that you realize that it's in charge. Guys, yesterday was an amazing patience day, right? Good morning, Jason. We spent a lot of time watching the S&P, watching crude oil, recognizing that indecision, and being safe, right? Staying out of those trades because the rules weren't met. So while from a money standpoint, good morning, Chris T. Nobody was breaking the bank, right? Nobody was just hand over fist unless you were trading 100 lot. But like Gary just said, it was important to practice patience, guys. 90% of what we do is going to be reading our indicators, right? I say that every day, and every day I say it and I mean it. Good morning, Claire. And then, guys, I wanted to show you this picture from yesterday, too. And this is when I talk about the trust that you're going to develop through study. And we watched this one live in class. Does everyone remember this trade yesterday? We had strong triggers on the 13.2. We had no termination conditions on the 13.2. And, guys, we had what could only be described as a beautiful entry on the 5.1. It was a 100% rules-based trade. Good morning, Luciano. Good morning, Claire. And it didn't work, right? It just didn't work. And guys, anything that wins 70 to 80% of the time is obligated to lose 20 to 30. Not really the message I wanted to start the day off with, but I want to remind you that this class is designed, it's developed to help you develop trust. This class revolves around a foundational approach to learning to read your indicators, to being able to recognize the advantages. And I want you to embrace that word advantages today. And then when those advantages are present, taking a trade. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk a lot about that. Did everybody get their email from NinjaTrader, or if you're an Apex trader, you got your email from Apex, that there's a switch going on? NinjaTrader's moving towards, all right, guys. So if you're anything like me, you hate change. So many people do. I want to tell you that the powers that be, John Novak, working with Jason, he and I spent a lot of time going back and forth yesterday. Guys, there's an easy solution. The last hour of class, we're going to open up NinjaTrader 8 together. I've got a workspace built, and it's not using the tick data. And guys, I'm going to warn you, it takes a whopping 30 to 40 seconds of your day to set up for the day. But it's actually faster than waiting for all the synthetics to populate. So right around 11 o'clock when we come back from that last break, maybe 11:20, we're going to open up my NinjaTrader 8. We're going to take a look at it, and we're going to set up our charts for success and set you up for success doing that. So guys, don't panic and don't worry. When things change, it happens all the time. Jason, now that you said that, yeah, it will be. Jason, every day is recorded. Every day in this room. Good morning, KR. Did you guys know that? Not everybody knows that. If you go to the Nexgen software services, like here we are live right now, Jason, but if you go to the live, and let's say 2 days ago, you're like, man, I had the best lesson. I had the biggest realization about, well, not 2 days ago, it was Sunday, but you know what I mean. Go back and find that day. Guys, if you need to reinforce your rules, go back and play the first hour. If you're struggling with termination conditions, it's usually right around the 20-minute mark. If you just want to hear the live market, the indicators, you know what? I'm going to go to the middle section. I'm going to go to that 10 o'clock hour. I'm going to look at people's charts. So that's always an option there. Yeah, Jason. So say something profound, Jason. Give me a good picture because, man, you're on TV. Good morning, Ziva. All right, guys. You know we do this every day, right? ForexFactory.com. Let's go talk about news. Let's make sure that we're not trading in front of a news release. There's a link for you guys if you want to take a look at it. Tuesday, March 7th at 10 a.m. Write it down on a piece of paper. Set up a timer with Siri. But at 10 a.m., Fed Chair Powell testifies. Guys, this can be a market mover. This could make the market go just absolutely crazy. Break it out of that funk. But I want you to think of high impact news is a freight train coming down the tracks, guys. And at 10 a.m., it's colliding with you if you don't get off the tracks. It has the potential to make a giant mess of things. I personally, I'll never tell you what to do, but I personally take my breaks in this classroom. Have you ever noticed that my breaks tend to revolve around news? I'll go fill up my water. I'll stretch my legs. I'll pop my back. I'll do whatever I want to do other than jump in front of high impact or even medium impact news. So be aware, 10 a.m. guys, the market has the potential to move. You don't want to be in front of that trade typically because I've watched the market move in 7,500 point range over the course of a minute. So it just becomes very difficult to trade. And then let's go to the education page, guys. You've all seen this. This is probably how you got to us. This is the Nexgen T3.com/education. First tab, because education is really what we do, guys. Two sections, software user guide. Software user guide is your NinjaTrader how-to. I imagine over the next week or two, this is going to become more NinjaTrader 8 heavy as those changes take place. Trust that John Novak will be working on it. He and I will probably work a couple afternoons to go through, bounce ideas off. If there's specific things that you guys need help with, let us know. We'll do it. The most important thing on this page, though, is that screen capture, guys. Is everybody comfortable taking a picture? Can everybody snap a picture of their charts? Because that's how you and I have a conversation with this TechSmith capture. TechSmith capture gives you the ability. Now, KR, you know I don't make recommendations, right? NinjaTrader 7 is still going to work for a little bit. But you guys have to understand they're phasing out. You know? Everybody loved that 1969 Mustang body, right? That was a good-looking car, especially as a convertible. But eventually they had to move on. How to use Ninja on NinjaTrader 7, Jerry? Absolutely. KR, you love NinjaTrader 7 because that's what you're used to, right? Jerry, as far as actual, like one video, here's how you do it, right? Yeah, let's not talk about the Mustang 2. That was as bad as the Bronco 2, wasn't it? This is really... It's not so much a video as much as it is a click. Everything, Jerry, almost that you can do on NinjaTrader 7. Opening, connecting, closing, scaling your charts, stops and targets, using the chart trader. That's getting in, getting out, right? Trade markers on the chart, how to add micro. I mean, everything is kind of in this table of contents for you. So while I don't have an actual video, I think this is a little better. It lets you click to where you need the help rather than sitting through the whole video, hoping that you pick up the help that you need. Absolutely. Here's the link to the section, just so you guys get it. How many new users do I have in here? Guys, I want you to be brave for a second if you're brand new. Raise your hand if you're brand new. If you're on a demo, if you've been with us for a week or two, let me know that you're in here. And more importantly, raise your hand if you need help taking a picture. Guys, this is my capture software right here. Dave B., you'll always be new. So will I. I like it. I want you guys to see this. If I click capture on my capture software, I can hover over one chart. I can hover over one chart. It'll take a picture of one chart. But if I take a picture of both charts, click and drag, it's going to let me take a picture of everything that I see. It's going to let me take a picture of my conditions being met on my 13.2. It's going to let me take a picture of where my entry potentially is. It's going to allow me, good morning, Cal. Mohammed, are you comfortable taking pictures yet? I can mark them up with arrows, guys. I can use these shapes. This is what I want from all my new people. No? So, Mohammed, do you have your capture software up? One of the most important things, guys, because these pictures are how we talk. This is how you show me what you're seeing. This is how you show me what you're doing. This is how you ask me questions. Instead of going, hey, Mark, just a couple minutes ago on the S&P, there was a thing that I don't understand. You can give me this picture, right? And you can say, hey, look, Mark, this looks like one of those pullbacks with odds favorable momentum, and it looks like it came right back to an area of resistance. Am I reading this right? Is this a pic? Is this what I should be looking at? You're having issues with demo, Mohammed? With the credentials? All right, I'm going to send you to the master. And guys, this is for everybody. There it is. Thank you, Jerry S. Guys, if you're struggling with software issues, can't get your stuff to open up, can't get connect, stuff like that, that's what Jason's for. And he may tell you, guys, this is a NinjaTrader issue. I need you to get with NinjaTrader, but he'll have that answer. He'll have that answer for you to put you in the right direction if he's not the guy to fix it. But anytime you have a tech problem, guys, reach out to Jason instantly. Don't sit and suffer. Don't let it build up. Don't get upset. If you can't find a file from 1987 because you have to do your taxes, don't bug Jason for that. But if it's Nexgen related, guys, go to tech support. And he's amazing. He'll take great care of you. So, Mohammed, your job right now is to get with Jason, set up a ticket, and say, Jason, this is the problem that I'm having. Can you help me? And that way you don't have to miss out on valuable time. You don't have to put yourself in a position where you're sitting there frustrated in front of the screen, wishing that you could magically make things work. So take advantage of it, guys. Use these pictures. Upload them to screencasts. And new users, I want you to get in the habit today. Copy that link and get it into the room. I want to see pictures before you enter the trade. I want to see pictures when you're in the trade. I want to see pictures when you exit the trade. And I want you to vandalize that chart. I want you to write on that chart like it's nobody's business. Tell me everything that you see. Tell me everything that you were thinking. Tell me how you felt. Tell me your rules. And guys, you and I are going to have the best conversation. You and I will be in a private session for the duration of my analysis of your chart, of my feedback. And I'm here for 15 hours every week to give you that great feedback, to make sure that you're taken care of. All right, so on that note, if you ever need help taking a picture, tell me. Go, hey, Mark, I need a little help with pictures. We'll get you there. Daily computer, preparation for high performance. I go through this every day, guys. Every day I go through these steps. So if you and I don't line up, double check. Make sure that you're going through the steps too. Do not merge. Got a couple people last week. We got them fixed almost instantly. And all of that is in the software user guide. Guys, the good stuff, the stuff that you want to hear about is right here in the tutorial section. This is where we're going to build a foundation. This is where you and I are going to talk about rules. This is where you'll be able to find examples of each of those rules. This is where we'll talk about using the trade tracking sheet. Guys, this should be open on your desktop every time you're simulating, every time you're studying the market. Using this spreadsheet is going to be an integral part of what you do and getting you towards your success. And this is where you get to realize what's the path to becoming a confident trader ASAP. Post your trades in class, right? Use that capture software. Let me see what you're doing. And then everything that you do, track it in that spreadsheet that we just looked at. And guys, keep it simple. Simplify your plan. Keep it simple. So in the spirit of keeping it simple, this is what we're going to talk about for our first hour, guys. Luciano, it may be because you don't have tick data going through. So if you don't have tick data, it's not going to pull synthetic fibs over. And that's what we're going to talk about towards the end of class, guys, is how do we get those synthetic fibs on every one of our charts. And it takes a little bit of effort, guys. It's going to be as simple as hitting F3 or F6. And it's going to take about, I don't know, 20 or 30 seconds probably for you to do a whole range of fibs that go across to every chart. But one of the things with NinjaTrader 8 is we want to keep that tick data off of there. We want to keep those synthetics off of there, and it'll run smoother. It'll be less taxing on your computer. So we have a plan. 11 a.m. I got you, Luciano, I promise. John drew a picture, though, and he put it in the room up at the top of the day. So, Luciano, here it is right here. He's drawing in from the 21.3 so he can get synthetics. He's using F3 for array. He's defaulted it to blue. He's using F6 for a horizontal line. He's defaulting it to red. And he's drawing in. He's getting those synthetics over without having to use tick replay, which is keeping everything more stable. So, Gary, at the top of your keyboard, there's a whole row, F1 through 11 or 12. And that's a shortcut for NinjaTrader 8. Or you can also, Gary, I know you know how to do this. You can do the drop-down bar from the pencil with the drawing. But see how F2, F3, these are what we call hotkeys. These are shortcuts. So if all I do is hit F2, it allows me to draw that line. And I suppose one of the things John Novak will need to do is put a drawing tutorial in there, but we're going to do it at 11. At 11, we're going to go through, but what we're going to do right now, guys, is we're going to talk about rules. We're going to talk about keeping it simple, and we're going to talk about your first 30 days. That's only 20 trading days, guys. It's even less if you use market replay, but I want you to focus on one thing. I want you to focus on the best of the best. I want you to focus on 5-1 trend trades. I don't know, Chris T. Does it feel like too much work already? I don't know. I don't know. If you saw the email chain between John Novak and NinjaTrader over the last several years since 8's come out, you would know that he's doing anything and everything in his power to get that fix in place. But the reality is sometimes when the fix isn't available, we got to find another way, right? Any Marines in here? Adapt and overcome? Sometimes that's what we're going to do. Because it's more important to me to make money and have those lines than it is inconvenient for me to draw those lines. And when we do it, guys, you'll see it's so easy. I don't want you to worry about it. It's okay. Chris, I got you. Are you going to be here at 11? We're going to dedicate an hour to it, guys, and we're going to pretend like we're a bunch of brand new people in a room and make sure that everybody's solid before you walk out. Scout's honor. I won't shut down the room until you have a call. Well then, Chris, if you need me, we'll figure out a time to get you where you need to be. What time's your call over? And I can write you a note, but I don't know if that's going to work. Awesome. So come into the room at 11:30, Chris, and what we'll do is I'll backtrack on anything we need to backtrack on, but I won't leave the room this afternoon until you and I make sure that you're comfortable with it. Sound good? Awesome. No worries. It's important to me that you guys are good. So let's talk about focusing on the 5-1 trend trade that happened after a termination condition on the 5-1, guys. This is your best of the best. If you will let yourself be new, if you'll let it be simple, 10 to 20 trading days, guys, and focus only on a high probability trend trade, it is going to change your world, guys. What's a high probability trade? It means that every indicator on every chart agrees with the rules for a trade. This is when your triggers are the strongest. No termination conditions exist. There's room between your entry and the target. Guys, this is the absolute best of the best. This is the one that when you take this high probability trend trade that we're about to talk about, it typically wins 70 to 80% of the time. Guys, you're creating a dopamine response from those wins. You're creating confidence through the memory of success and focusing, spending your first 30 days with this, or spending your first 30 days back with the software, kind of re-identifying yourself as a trader, telling yourself it's time for me to follow rules, it's time for me to do it right, it's time for me to focus on the best. Guys, focusing on that highest probability trend trade is going to put you in the position where you can read your charts. 90% of what we do is chart reading, guys. Yesterday was a great example of that. 90% is going to be looking at indicators and waiting for advantages. 10% of what you do is going to be taking the trades when those advantages are present. And your ability to read charts is going to give you a really amazing skill set. And it's a skill set that's going to allow you to make money as you grow with the software. If you focus on the simple, you're going to be able to open up your charts and recognize where the market is likely to continue, where it's likely to go, and where it's likely to stop. And you're going to use these three very simple concepts to take a trade. The areas where the market is likely to continue, these are going to be your entries for a high probability trend trade. This is going to be that spot where when the market is trending one direction or the other, where we're going to look for entries. Where the market is likely to go is going to help you make good decisions on profit targets. And where the market is likely to stop, guys, this is one of the most important lessons. We saw this one a lot yesterday in the live market. Understanding when you don't have a clear path. Understanding when the market may reverse, when you've lost the advantage there. So we're going to focus on these three concepts, really likely to continue and likely to stop, more so in this first hour. And we're going to use them to understand three rules. Three simple rules, right? And each rule, and I want you to embrace this and think of it this way, each rule provides an advantage. Good morning, new trader. Each rule gives you an advantage to take a trade because a trade is nothing more than momentum, a clear path, and an entry area. These are the advantages that your chart reading are going to provide. These are the three rules that we're going to put together to understand when they're met. And you're going to keep it simple, guys. Two charts, three rules. You can count everything you need to do on one hand, right? Using the most current bar on your 13.2 on your larger chart, you're going to be able to determine the trend of the market as well as rules 1 and 2 being met. And the first advantage you're going to give yourself is if that background on the 13.2 is green, only look for rules to be met for high probability trend trades. Don't fight the trend. If it's red, the trend is down. We're looking for those rules to be met for high probability trend trade short. Rules 1 and 2 absolutely positively must be met on a 13.2 because the 13.2 is a broad stroke of a brush. The 13.2 is the general consensus of the market. It's the groupthink. And when these rules are true and the advantages are present, you guys are going to go to the 5-1 chart and you're going to refine that broad stroke of a brush all the way down to the point where the market is likely to continue. And your third rule happens on a smaller, faster chart because it allows you to reduce risk and maximize your profit potential. So John Novak gave us this great visual. Who are you trading with or against? There it is. Guys, large chart, large crowd, general temperature of the market. It's going to give you the advantages of momentum. It's going to give you the advantages of a clear path. Your smaller group, smaller chart is going to get you back to that best of the best area. That's all right, Chris. I got you. So 3 simple rules on 2 charts, guys. Is everybody comfortable with simplicity? Everybody feels good about not trying to overthink it in the beginning, giving yourself the best of the best. You're going to try to overthink it. I'm going to tell you right now. We're going to keep you in line, guys. So rule number 1 says that the large chart, the 13.2, needs to have strong trigger lines. So let's define them. Let's define them in words. Let's define it in a picture. When the background on my 13.2 is green, I'm in an uptrend. My small triggers are above my large triggers. My large triggers are widening. They're angled in the direction of the trend. It's the space created. The space created. Get out of my room, John. I'm talking rules right now. It's the space created between the small and the large that let me know that the odds are favorable for the market to continue up. In a downtrend, the small's below the large are wide, they're angled in the direction of the trend. It's the space created between the small and large that let me know that the odds are favorable for the market to go down. Guys, this is what we call odds favorable momentum. You're going to hear it in the room a lot. This is the precursor for any high probability trade, making sure that you have that advantage of momentum, and we stick to it. Because when those small triggers work their way back inside of the large triggers, it's called a weakening of the large triggers. And when those large triggers are weakened, anything can happen up or down. Your advantage of momentum typically doesn't extend the duration from the point where the smalls break away until the smalls return. Is everybody comfortable with that? Give me a Y in the room if you're with me. We're looking for our opportunities from the point when those small triggers break away from the large, create that odds favorable momentum until they come back, and it takes that advantage away. So guys, rule number 1, these strong trigger lines are going to set us up for the first part of that equation, that advantage of momentum. Rule number 2 says that termination conditions must be false. Room to the profit targets, right? So what's rule number 2? We're going to put it together, one bite at a time. We're not going to trade into termination conditions, and termination conditions are a Fibonacci-based indicator that may reverse the market based on a comparison of the trigger lines, the same trigger lines that give us momentum in an area. And guys, here's a picture, and this is a great map for you new users of what you're looking at. Areas can be divergence high, divergence low. Red Fibonacci resistance, blue Fibonacci support. These one-to-ones, these yellow one-to-ones that print real time during the day, can also be a magenta midband as resistance or a green midband as support if those large triggers stay a full bar away. So guys, these are the areas, and it's going to be a simple recipe to determine whether or not we have a termination condition. So we're going to go through this together right now. I want you to stop me if you have a question. But it's a 2-part process, guys. The first thing that has to happen to determine whether or not we've reached a termination condition is price reaches an area. It can be an area of support. It can be an area of resistance. It can be those one-to-ones, those divergence highs or lows. When price reaches an area, you have to ask yourself, where are the trigger lines? And if the trigger lines remain above this area of support, guys, this is a termination condition. This is letting me know that the market is likely to stop. It has the potential to reverse. And no more short trades into that area. Everybody comfortable with that? Price reaches an area. If the trigger lines don't break it, we've given away the advantage of a clear path. We don't have that second part of the equation met. So how do we get the advantage of a clear path? When both the small and the large break through an area, we consider the area to be broken. You can see that support begins to act as resistance. Both the small and the large triggers have broken through the area, guys. Now you have the advantage of a clear path. It's time to look for those rules to be met. It's time to look for that odds favorable momentum. We have the clear path, and then you're free to look for an entry because the rules have been met on the largest chart. Give me in the Y in the room if you're with me, guys. No triggers, no trade. Both triggers, clear path. Fantastic. There's one more look that I want to talk about. Sometimes those small triggers are going to break through, but your large triggers are not. And the key to this look, guys, is that odds favorable momentum. You have to have trigger lines that suggest that the trend is likely to continue. This is what we call a 50-50. Has nothing to do with your chance of winning. You could call it a straddle look. You could call it a one above, one below, whatever you want to call it. But the key to this is the area has the potential to break with the odds favorable momentum, but it has not broken. The path is not 100% clear. Guys, this is going to be your first medium probability trade. As you work outside of trades where every chart agrees with the rules, this is going to be the first one. Because you're going to be able to recognize through your chart reading the momentum that says that it may break. You're going to be able to recognize through your chart reading the trigger line configuration that gives it a chance. And you're going to understand when a trade like this one, where the smalls have broken and the large are not, gives you the best chance of success to take it right down to Fibonacci support and make that money. For the first few minutes, guys, we're going to focus heavily on the best of the best, but understand that as you grow with the software, every day you're going to get a little better. Every day your recognition is going to grow, and you'll work your way into that medium probability trade. And that medium probability trade is defined as a trade where most of the indicators line up for a trade, however a small issue exists. Your ability to read charts is going to identify that small issue. Your ability to read charts will allow you to manage it assertively. Your ability to read charts will have you recognizing trouble spots. And guys, this medium probability trade ultimately is going to be the majority of the trades that you take. High probability is going to teach you to read your indicators and take you to where you can manage those medium probability trades properly. So let's go back to termination conditions and let's just get a couple examples, a little repetition to help build it. Divergence low lines are a potential termination condition. When price reaches the divergence low, the trigger lines remain above, we have a termination. Everybody comfortable with that? Price reaches the area, trigger lines remain above, no more short trades. This is what we call a pivot stop out of a divergence low. This is a very powerful look. When it comes from a bottom or a top, it creates a strong bottom or top. Termination conditions that create full reversals are strong bottoms and tops. Here price reaches resistance and none of the trigger lines break through. You should recognize this as a termination condition, as an area likely to stop the market. It comes right back to support and does the same thing. Trigger lines remain above. 90% of what we do is just going to be reading those indicators, waiting for the advantages. Well, the retest gives us a pivot stop out of a divergence high. The areas are reached, the triggers stay below. It gives me a full reversal and ultimately odds favorable momentum. Guys, this is your best of the best, highest probability scenario for a trend trade. You'll see it again on the bottom. Price reaches the area. Trigger lines don't break through. Termination condition means no short trades in the moment. Termination condition that creates a full reversal that gives us odds favorable and a clear path. That circle represents a potential entry for the absolute best of the best trade. Is everybody with me and comfortable in the moment, identifying areas likely to stop the market and understanding that they take away your advantage of a clear path? Because that's 2 out of 3, right? We're 2/3 of the way, 66.6% of the way to having a trade. Our 13-2 chart's given us strong triggers. Our 13-2 chart has given us no termination conditions. And guys, now we're going to take that broad stroke of a brush and we're going to refine it. During the live market, this is going to be the look at your 5-1 chart when the 13-2 triggers are their strongest. When there's nothing in the way. Your 5-1 chart, this is an uptrend, is going to have strong trigger lines, one on top of the other, angled up like a shark about to breach. It's going to have up bars, green bars over and over. Small triggers are going to be outside of the large triggers, right? There's that odds favorable momentum even on a 5-1 chart. Rule number 3, I'm going to type it in the room for you. In an uptrend, we're going to buy. In a downtrend, we'll sell. We're going to use a limit order to buy a pullback at an area inside of large triggers. Is everybody comfortable with that? We're going to use the limit order. We're going to wait for the market to come to us. And we're going to buy a pullback, which means that if the market is screaming to the upside, if our large chart says everything is going up, if our large chart says nothing is in the way, we're going to let our smaller, faster chart give us a tiny little retracement in price to get us back to the area inside of favorable large triggers. In your pullback, that small retracement in price begins with a reversal bar. When this reversal bar prints, your job is to build a window of opportunity, and your window of opportunity is going to extend from the highest point of support to the lowest point of support inside of favorable large triggers. Trades originate from areas. That's something worth writing down on a piece of paper. Trades come from areas because areas provide a backstop, if you will. Those areas can be mid-bands, they can be fibs, they can be one-to-ones. And the key is we want them inside of those large trigger lines. So when the reversal bar prints, I'm going to look for my highest support, the mid-band, to the lowest support, these one-to-ones, and I'm creating a window of opportunity, an area where the market is likely to continue. I'm going to right-click on my chart and I'm going to activate my limit order just above that area of support. And if the market comes back to the window, I'm now in a long trade. The equation has been met, right? I had momentum, I had a clear path, and I have an entry area. Guys, we're now in a trade. We're in a long position, anticipating the market to continue up because we bought. I have the advantage of momentum, I have the advantage of a clear path, and I also have the advantage of an area where the market is most likely to continue. My initial stop, my protective stop, is going to go below that window where the market shouldn't go. And guys, I'll take this trade 1,000 out of 1,000 times because of the advantages it presents, and because 70 to 80% of the time, this is typically my result. Because I wait for the pullback all the way to the areas, my risk is reduced dramatically once it begins to move in the direction of the trade. Because we waited for that pullback, that little patience piece, our ability to make money grows exponentially because we have more room to that next Fibonacci target. Guys, this is your high probability trend trade. This is your best of the best. This is your first 30 days. Your job for the first week or two is to just study it over and over to determine whether or not the rules are met. And you can do that in a very easy fashion, guys. When we have odds favorable, when there's nothing in the way, you can see that this price bar, well, in the moment it didn't reach that area yet. I remember I was watching this set up. If I circle these tails on the 13.2 become a potential entry point on the 5.1. You can see that the market pulls right back to the areas of resistance. It remains within the window and continues down to the next area. This is how you're going to study. With odds favorable momentum, with no termination conditions, if you see a tail, I want you to circle it, guys. If that circle lines up on a 5-1 chart, on a pullback to an area inside of favorable large triggers, well, the equation's been met. You have a high probability trend trade. Give me a Y in the room. If you're comfortable, momentum, clear path, pull back to the area of support inside of favorable large triggers. A lot of sleepy people in here, 52 in the room. Why what, Cal? Remember, you can't just ask me why. You have to ask me why what. Why does this happen? Have no idea. How's that? But I know that it does because I've studied it over and over and over. Why is it the best? Cal, it's the best because when the advantages are present, this high probability trend trade typically wins 70 to 80% of the time. How do you feel about that? 70 to 80% of the time. Wouldn't that be amazing to look at your trade record every day and say, wow, I won 70%, I won 80%, I won 90%? Don't you think it would be difficult to not make money with that sort of win percentage unless you just absolutely mismanage every trade? So it's the best, Cal, because it offers the highest chance of success, because it provides the most advantages, and because this is something that's testable, right? This is something that you as a brand new user, as a demo, as an experienced user, can go back and study every day and build confidence in. Every day you can look at this setup, you can circle these tails. Every day you can come back and see how many times the market pulls right back to an area of support or resistance inside of favorable large triggers. Every day you can say that when price reaches support and absolutely no trigger lines go through, I know without a fact that this is an area with the potential to stop the market. This is the best, Cal, in my opinion, because not only is it repeatable, the same pattern every time to get consistency, but it's easy to backtest, it's easy to study, and it's easy to go through and recognize day in and day out the advantages that it provides. How was that for an answer? Awesome. But it's only the best if you learn how to do it, guys. It's only the best if you take the time to study a little bit. Here I have a termination condition. Do you see it? Just like in the manual. Price comes down, reaches an area, gives me a full reversal, ultimately gives me odds favorable momentum. And guys, I'm not scared at all to show this one. It gave me a beautiful pullback to an area of support inside of favorable large triggers. Ran you over, K-Dog? And KR, can I tell you? I want to see 10 pictures of you guys getting run over on this one. Why? Let's do it. Let's go through this. This is crude oil, guys. Annotate a chart with me, especially new people. Do I have odds favorable momentum in this picture, guys? Do I have smalls above the larger wide angled in the direction of the trend? Do I have the advantage of momentum, the first thing that I need to take a trade? Absolutely. All right, here we go. Do I have no termination conditions? I haven't reached an area. I have a clear path. There's room to my target. Can we all agree that rules 1 and 2 were met? Absolutely beautiful. And it's coming from a termination condition. Isn't that amazing? Let's write term in here too, because that's a big deal as well. That's part of the equation for the best of the best. All right, so here's the last question. Did I have a pullback to an area inside of large triggers? Let's build the window of opportunity together, guys. Here's the top of my triggers. Here's the bottom of my triggers. Whoops. This is the only area inside of favorable large triggers. Couldn't we identify without question where that market was likely to continue if it were going to? Guys, I want to see you take this trade. I want to see you take this entry every time. And I'll tell you what, I would lose money on this trade every day. Why? Because this one didn't work. This is part of my 30%, guys. This is a cost of doing business. One of the hardest things for new traders to do is to realize that you're not going to win every trade. You're not going to win every trade. You can't. But this is such a great look and such a great picture. Remember we said that we're going to take pictures, present them in class, and we're going to put them in our spreadsheet, guys. I'm going to go to my personal trade setups looks, my best of the best, my favorite looks, and I'm going to put this picture in there because it fit the rules 100%. And I'm going to call it perfect trend trade long, and I'm going to annotate it. Didn't work. Why am I doing that? Because the look is perfect, right? The rules are met. Everything is ideal. Bobby T just posted in the room. Bobby T says, you better believe I have trust in the rules. I'll take this trade every time. And it got him, didn't it? We're developing trust because if you go through and you look at every one of these looks, every one of them is the same. Here's another one that didn't work, right? It's a part of that 30%, that 20%. It just doesn't work. So your job is to study every day because for those two that didn't work, guys, there's dozens that did, and you have to develop that trust so every time the rules are met, you feel comfortable to take that trade. Does that make sense to everybody? Price reached support, absolutely no trigger lines broke through, guys. We're not looking for a short just because the long didn't work. We have a good bottom. We have support with the potential to hold. We're in a holding pattern. We're simply waiting for the market to figure itself out. We're waiting for the advantages to be had. And then we're going to see what happens. Guys, termination condition is still stopping the market. Small triggers are beginning to break through. There's a potential for it to break. But we're in a holding pattern. 90% of what we do is just reading those indicators. The second part of this classroom, guys, after we talk about rules, is coming back and looking at the charts that you guys post. Every time you post a chart in this room, you and I have a discussion. Gary gave us one. Gary does the best job about identifying conditions, and he'll take a picture whether his rules are met or not, because every time you take a picture of rules not met, you're reinforcing the rules. You're reinforcing. On the 13-2, he has a perfect termination condition. He doesn't have odds favorable momentum, and all he's saying is that even though it pulls back to resistance, my rules aren't met. It's not a trade that he's taking, guys. He's got a checklist right on his chart. This is what has to happen for me to take a trade. Is everybody using a checklist? Does everyone have a simple outline for what it takes to get into a trade, to identify that perfect entry, that best of the best? Because guys, here it is. Let me give you one in the room. Print this out if you have a printer at the house. If not, get to Kinko's. I'm going to give you two checklists in this room, guys. I'm going to give you the checklist that you can print out and put on your desktop. I'm also giving you a checklist that has each rule defined in pictures straight from the manual. And this is something that you can study every day as you go back and look at these high probability trend trades, just to make sure that you understand. It does make you gun shy, Bobby T, but it was rules based. Sorry, I just saw that. Do you know why? It's because you haven't seen it enough to trust it wholeheartedly. I was the same way. Guys, if you start your day with a loser, it makes you nervous, right? If you start your day with two losers, you start thinking, oh my gosh, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Can I be honest with you guys? This is how you beat it. 3,500 pictures. 3,500 pictures, taking pictures of everything that I see in the market. Over 100 examples here of high probability trend trades. I'm creating trust through repetition. Guys, it takes a while. It becomes easy to recognize, right? It really doesn't take long to understand when the rules are met for a high probability trend trade. It takes a little bit of time to see it in the moment, but it takes repetition to develop trust, right? Bruce T, you took that trade and lost. Great job taking the trade. It was a rules-based trade, 100%. Termination condition, still holding in the moment, isn't it? Price reaches support, trigger lines don't break through. Look what the market's beginning to do. Developing the trust in your rules, guys, to the point to where, one, you take it when they're met, and two, you don't skip it because of opinions. That's all part of the growth process, but you're going to be able to recognize the rules being met within the first week. And then it's your job just to keep practicing, right? To keep putting yourself in a position where it becomes second nature, to where you get to the point that you don't care if it wins or loses. Gary, this one is close to a termination condition, but it hasn't quite met it, hasn't quite reached it. Looks like you have no divergence potential on a pullback to an area of resistance inside of favorable large triggers. I'm not 100%. I wouldn't have taken that trade, Gary, but if your rules weren't met, don't take it. Cal is asking, is this an area of opportunity? I love this question, Cal. Let's go through it together. Does anyone remember that one time when I said if you take the time to annotate your charts and write those rules on there, if you take just a minute to use that checklist, right? Police yourself after the fact. Let's see, let me zoom this down a little bit. Guys, if you're using Snagit, you can do this. Watch this. I'm going to take a picture of my checklist so that I have it. And then I'm going to do one better. Cal, I'm going to take a picture of your picture. If I can find it. There we go. Can we do this together, guys? This is a great exercise. Let's put our checklist on the chart. And let's see if we can answer the question, is this an area of opportunity? Did we have a termination condition that created a full reversal, guys? Absolutely. Give me a Y if you see it. Support holds, triggers roll, odds favorable momentum. I love this look. What a great way to get things going. Does everyone recognize that we have odds favorable momentum? Give me a Y, guys. This is your future that we're talking about, right? This is your trading success. Participate in your education. No termination conditions. Cal, once again, you absolutely nailed it. Area for entry inside of favorable large triggers. Let's go to the 5-1, Cal. Isn't this awesome that you can use a checklist to verify? Cal, I'm going to use a different color. I'm going to go from the top of your triggers to the bottom of your triggers, right? And where's that area of support inside? There it is right there. And Cal, that's the point where it got to support inside of favorable large triggers. That's where the pullback hits that mid-band area. And you'll notice that price never gets below those triggers. Was this an area of opportunity? Not quite. Actually, yeah. Cal, that was an area 100% inside of favorable large triggers. It just didn't get there until right here. Do you see it, Cal? Cal, that is beautiful recognition. That is taking every lesson that we teach in that first hour and identifying the area where the market is likely to continue. And Cal, congratulations. That's perfect. Great job. Great chart reading. Great analysis. And we use that checklist to go from is it an opportunity to absolutely. What a beautiful trade. Nice job, Cal. Guys, these pictures are your path. Repetition, writing out your rules. Making sure that you're comfortable with anything and everything that you see. I appreciate the participation too. Let's see who's next. John Novak posted in the room. John, it's nice to see that you're out of the Rona. Odds favorable momentum. Hadn't reached the termination condition. Area for entry inside a favorable large triggers. Stop keeps him safe. Target 1 hit. He has 0 risk on a trade as it goes to target 2. John Novak, great rules-based trade. He also posted another picture, guys. Yesterday, John Novak showed up in the room and he said, for homework, go back and study trend trades. Did anyone do it? Did anybody go back and study trend trades yesterday? Anybody circle tails, look for entries, look for windows of opportunities? I think Cal did. Cal absolutely nailed it. Gary, you did market replay yesterday to reinforce your skill set. Guys, we're giving you the best elliptical money can buy, but it's up to you to get on there and work that thing, right? It's up to you to get the repetitions. It's up to you to go back and do the study, to ask the questions, to participate in class. Paul, let's see what you got. Paul says termination, odds favorable. First entry is not your trade due to the fib on the 13.2. You're going to let the termination conditions, right? But then here we go. We clear the fib, and Paul says, look at this, ladies and gentlemen. This is what I call a pre-trade picture when my rules are met. This is me so amped up about rules being met that that's exactly what my chart's going to look like in the event that I take a trade. Nice job, Paul. It's a good read. Gary said the same thing. Gary said, my rules are met. This is me anticipating a pullback before that reversal bar ever happens because I understand my rules without hesitation. And guys, Paul had an order waiting because the rules were met. Gary had an order waiting because the rules were met. That was Gary taking a loser. That was Paul taking a loser, saying this is just a cost of doing business. Give me the next trade. Guys, this is Dave B. I'm guessing taking the exact same trade. Picture perfect. So Gary, Dave B, Paul, Bobby T. Who else? Bruce. Would you take this trade again if it presented itself? Would you hesitate to pull the trigger? Do you have trust? I hope so. Waiting for that one forever. It was beautiful. Guys, that's the difference between day 1 and day 20, right? A little bit of study, seeing this work so often. Guys, I'm sorry for your loser. I am absolutely thrilled that each and every one of you took that rules-based entry. There's another one right there. Gary, I feel like you're dwelling now. You said that you should have immediately entered the trade, re-entered the trade. Gary, why would you, after the trend trade doesn't work, with the small triggers down, with those rolling, with everything red, why would you re-enter the trade, hoping that a blue line holds? John put a great picture in there about continuation. Claire, beautiful. You waited for the higher area. You waited for the triggers to roll. Gary, I want you to look at this one. Claire, that was like the best timing ever. Check this out, Gary. This one doesn't work. Let those small triggers roll. That one might have gotten stopped out. See how the triggers roll, those smalls roll, and it pulls back to the area? That's a great opportunity for continuation. And I've got a picture of it. Let me show you. The best of the best trend trade doesn't work right here. Check it out. Let it roll. Yep, here comes that high impact news, guys. Absolutely, Bruce. Do you have your capture software open? Or are you using Snagit? Snagit or Capture, just so I know which one to go through. Snagit, I got you, Bruce, right now. Gary, here's a great picture. This one was great for me. It kept me from taking trades over and over and over again, hoping that the areas hold all the way down. letting those small triggers roll creates a great advantage. It's the rules are still met. Everything says this market's still going down. Letting those small triggers roll gives you an opportunity to let it clear itself out a little bit so that it can continue in the direction. Claire, beautiful trade. Great picture. All right, Bruce T, are you ready? Let's take a picture with Snagit. Giant capture button, easy peasy, right? I'm going to click it. And Bruce, we're going to use this as a click and drag tool. I'm going to left click in my upper left-hand corner, and I'm going to drag it all the way down to the right. So far, so good? That's the easy part, isn't it? Use those arrows, use those shapes. Make sure that you're using your call out to write on there to talk to me. And then Bruce, 2 ways to do it in the classroom. I can right click and just copy the picture. And then once that picture is copied, I think this is probably the easiest way to do it. I'm using the pop-out screen, so I'm going to have to hit Control V. And it puts it right in the room. I hit enter. And there's the picture without a link. And then Bruce, the other way to do it from Snagit is to click share and that screencast. And mine shows up all the way over on a third monitor. But you're going to get a little pop-up that says get link from screencast. And then you can post that screencast link directly into the room. So you can either copy, paste direct, or save it as a screencast and then put the screencast link in the root, and it lets me do it. If you want to take a picture and do a test run real quick, make sure you're comfortable. Go right ahead, because I really do believe, guys, that taking pictures is the absolute most important thing that you can do. There's news, right? Let's pull up a 13.2. News hit right here, guys. We're 1 minute in, and look at all that. Whoo! Here we go. Was that a potential trade right there? Right at 940. Let's go back. Oh my gosh, that was a pullback. Not the prettiest look, but maybe an opportunity. Sitting on your hands, right? Let them do what they're going to do. Let it calm down a little bit. Guys, this is why every morning I start talking about news, because it has the potential to make things move crazy, right? It has the potential. Let's see what happened right at 10 a.m. Where were we? Right at 10 a.m., we were at support with weak triggers, weren't we? We were at support with weak triggers. We were struggling a little bit. Some of you were thinking, man, great termination condition. I think I might go long. And then you got run over. Being able to identify when news is coming, guys, is definitely an advantage. And now let's let it sort it out. If I go to crude oil, Gary, this is why we don't just re-enter. See how that letting the triggers roll would have kept you out of a loser there? Guys, everybody took the perfect long. If you re-enter again, just hoping, and it was at this blue line right here, it just doesn't work out. Let them roll. If it's really going to be a long, those triggers will roll. It'll give you another chance. Oh, Ron, did you take advantage of news? Cal, it was the Fed talking. So every morning, Cal, I go to forexfactory.com and it just lets me know that high impact news today was the Fed Chair Powell. Angela, not yet. We haven't rolled over yet. Cameron gave me a great picture yesterday. He doesn't know that I stole it. There's your roll dates. We're looking at the 13th on the S&P. That's your roll date to get over to that next contract on the S&P. So it'll be Friday. NinjaTrader 8 will roll it automatically. NinjaTrader moved it for me. I'm not sure, but let's try this. What if I do Futures contract roll dates. And I let the Google webs give me that answer right there. That's the easiest way, right? And then if you're curious about what it means, you can go to the CME. They'll give you a link that talks about it. Your NinjaTrader 8, guys, will do it automatically. You'll get this cool little message that says, hey, guess what? It's time to roll contracts. And then if you are still on NinjaTrader 7 and you need some help with NinjaTrader 7 rolling those contracts, guys, watch this. Software user guide. And adding symbols, rolling contracts on NinjaTrader 7. Yeah, they did. I deleted mine. They had that calendar, Angela, and they moved it, and I'm not sure where they put it. No worries, Angela. We're going to do a little Ninja 8 tutorial today. Joel, are you okay? Actually, don't type in here and answer. Go to the emergency room. I hope everything's okay. We'll be thinking about you. Well, we just saw what news can do, right? I'm going to scroll up. We're going to look at a few more pictures. Claire, Bobby T, that was that long. We don't have to open that one. Buck Blue, that was that long. We don't have to open that one. Guys, we know that we followed rules, did a great job of it. And the notes make you feel better, right? 30% of the time. Take it every time. Guys, this is why we post pictures in the room. Have you ever taken a rules-based trade and wondered where you messed up? How did I screw that one up? And then you come in the room and we put a checklist against it and you're like, oh, I didn't screw up at all, did I? I followed the rules. All right, who was this one? Where did this go? This was, I had it, and then I forgot who I clicked on. This is Fulgor. Man, first weekend, I love it. Everything says down, odds favorable momentum. That was your first entry. Do you see it? Pull back to resistance inside of favorable large triggers. You are already reading charts. I love this. Do you see this as your best entry? Pull back straight to resistance right inside of those favorable large triggers. No worries. And that's why we're studying and that's why we're having the conversation. And then here, when everything rolls, that's where you're comfortable. That's okay. That's a great re-entry. You've got your risk established. But I don't want you to stray away from this one. Believe it or not, the rules come about from an awful lot of study and practice. Because you nailed the 13-2, Fulgor. I mean, you were absolute. All right. I do love my Discord, but it's testing me. My apologies, guys. Can everybody hear me okay? We're good? Are we back? Awesome. So Fulgor, great read on the 13-2. You had the advantage of momentum, right? And guys, this is an important lesson. You had the advantage of a market that is telling you that it's likely to continue in the direction of the trend. You also had the advantage of absolutely nothing in the way, right? So Fulgor, when you have those advantages in place, when you have that momentum, when you have nothing in the way, this smaller chart becomes an amazing refinement tool. And this is where you can kind of pick out where the market is most likely to continue. And it's at that area right inside of favorable large triggers. Cal, try rebooting. Can you guys see me? I've got my streaming on. Guys, give me a Y in the room if you can see it. Cal, maybe a quick log out, log back in will help, or a little refresh. Fulgore, does this make sense? I love your entry because you had every advantage, right? At the time of the entry, you even let the triggers roll. That's your comfort level. Embrace it for a little bit. Of course, you'll practice, and eventually you'll get here. And the reason that I want you to eventually get there, man, I love the way you did this, though, is because when you get in here, there's your initial risk, right? By the time you get down here, you can already make money as it pulls back. And then that stop reduces behind the second pivot. And your target, here's the best part, Fulgore, is now you're going to start learning to recognize and understand the advantages on the 13.2. Your 13.2 said don't jump out here, right? 13.2 said, man, let's go to that next Fibonacci area. Let's get paid on this one. We have everything in our advantage. You notice how every trigger's down, everything says go, everything's a clear path. Eventually, you're going to make a lot more money on that trade. Not only from getting in at the higher point, but from being able to read it and recognize that the market loves to go to those next key Fibonacci areas. And Fulgore, I got to tell you, thank you from the absolute bottom of my heart. I know this is your first week and you're already posting pictures, you're already annotating charts, you're already going through all this. The only other thing I want to see from you, are you ready? The only other thing I want to see from you is I want you to tell me how this happened. I want to see this picture too, because this is where the magic happens, when we can start to weed out those little things. Sometimes we take losses just because losses, right? But show me everything, guys. Show me win, lose, or draw. Show me what you're doing. And we're going to get exactly where you said you wanted to be. I love it. Fulgore, here's another one from you. Everything says up. A little early on the odds favorable. Not a high probability trend trade. Give that market just a little time to reverse to give you the advantages. It's going to help you out a lot. Little bit of patience. Termination, right? They tried to tempt you, didn't they? And then ultimately that market zinged right up. Gary, great job reading the termination. Great job sticking to the clear path, giving you the best of the best. Ron C says, man, when that market is screaming in the direction, I'm just going to take chunks out. You did it on simulator because he knows that there are risks with news. Nice. Chris T says, help me. Trend trade attempts. Was it the gap on the 13.2 that should have kept you out? Chris, rule 1, you had strong triggers. Rule 2, you had no termination conditions. Rule 3, you had a perfect entry inside of favorable large triggers. Chris T, you even had a termination condition that created a full reversal. Cal, if you can't see anything, there's a backup, okay? There is, let me give you the link real quick. I know you can hear me. So Cal, and anybody else, if you can't seem to get video, go to the backup. There you go. Right on our YouTube channel, it's live. It's 100% live. Chris T, are you with me? Strong triggers, great termination condition, or causing a full reversal. Absolutely nothing in the way. You just took a loser. Is this not the same one that everyone else in the room took? Or is this the same look on a different market? Let me see. Was that your trade, Chris? That's the one in question, isn't it? Awesome. So Chris, I love that you posted that and that you put help me. Everybody in this room took that trade, Chris. Everybody in this room lost that trade. How come? Guys, why do we take it? Because we had momentum, we had a clear path, and we had an entry area because it met the rules. Chris, if you take a trade that fits the rules, if you take a trade with all those advantages that you just showed me, if you take 100 of them, Chris, how many of them can you expect to lose? How many of them should you be mentally prepared to lose? How many of them should you be financially prepared to lose? 30. So Chris, trust your analysis. It's perfect. Your analysis is spot on. You had a termination condition that creates a full reversal that gives odds favorable with absolutely nothing in the way. And you nailed your entry 100%, Chris. This is the cost of doing business. And once again, guys, this is why we post in class, because Chris was probably going, dag nabbit, I screwed this up somehow, but I can't figure out how because everything seems to line up for the trade. Perfect trade, Chris. Nice job. I would take it, and I was happy to see that all of my trend traders in this room took that trade as well. Does that help? At least take a little bit of the sting off of it? I hope so. Why do we take that one every time it sets up? Because more often than not, those trend trades go full-blown rock star for us, right? Great picture, Chris. It's hard to post a loser in the room, guys, because you're worrying that you're doing something wrong, right? But you're not. Joel, you took the same one. I hope this isn't what sent you to the emergency room. Perfect read. Zeba, after 11, we're going to have that Ninja Trader 8. We're going to come up and talk about it as a class. Trade the mid-band until it doesn't work in a strong trending market. Bing, 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 bing. Paul. Good read. And then Folgar. Here's that loser, right? Losing a little bit of momentum. But still, everything says up. No terminations. Folgar, picture perfect entry. Let me guess, it pushed down a little bit further to support down here. That loss of momentum. That loss of momentum and then divergence, which we know is a loss of momentum. Small triggers inside of the large, we know is a loss of momentum. So here's your read on this one, Folgar. When we're losing momentum on both charts say that we aren't going up with that odds favorable, you can anticipate potentially deeper rolls. Does that make sense? When we start to lose the momentum, it's okay to say, hey, let it push a little deeper. The market's not saying that it's odds favorable. And then as you grow, Folgar, look at this one. Yeah, after the fact, everything's going to be after the fact. When it says that it may push lower, Folgar, there's your favorite look when all the triggers are going the same direction. That's that one that you nailed the entry on earlier. So when the market says I may push lower, you can go ahead and say in your brain, you know what? I'm going to let it push lower, then I'm going to let the triggers roll, and then Folgar, you're going to take that entry that you absolutely love. But once again, it's a great read. You're trading with direction. You're giving yourself advantages. Just a little bit of patience on that one to let that loss of momentum do its thing. Gary, small below the large are coming down. Perfect entry. And then you get a second higher divergence and weak triggers. Right? You took your first target at the bottom of the triggers. I absolutely love it. And then you get out with no loss. Great trade, Gary. Tight management. Great trade. Paul, let's see what you did. Same trade. Gives an opportunity for management. Paul says a better entry would have won, right? Yeah. That's all right, though. I like the trade. You got in at the bottom of the window. Paul, do you see those split triggers? Are you in here with me, guys? Split triggers. Which one's it going to go back to? Hell, I don't know. And it was over here, so it was actually on the wrong side of the 13-2 triggers, and you had a reversal bar on your 13 range, right at support, at the outer band. Remember we talked about this one? Reversal bars from the outer band. Buyer beware. These are new patterns for you. But yeah, between the split triggers, that's a tough look. I think it's the right trade. Oh, man. All right, guys. Discord is testing me today. Discord is testing me today. That's all right. If this is as bad as my day gets, that's a pretty good day, isn't it? Still a pretty good day. Let's see where we're at here. We had Paul's. D, let's see what you did. D, everything says down. You're taking one of those momentums. Get in, get out, right? Everybody's going to find something that they like. D likes that momentum. So D, your next step, I love this. I really do, is identify when you've cleared an area and identified what your next trouble area is. 66 to 65. You made one tick on this one, right? A little better entry as it clears. Get that predetermined. Quick money, and if it keeps going, keep going. Great trade. Great read of momentum. Great read of a clear path. And then taking your own style entry on that one. Taking what you've learned from chart reading and developing a plan that suits your needs. Same trade, right? Split triggers, good entry up at the top, quick management, no loss. Was that Bobby T? Bobby T, I like the way you took this trade. I like the way you managed this trade. That divergence with the trigger lines coming up said, hey, careful. Nicely done. I don't know, J. Rod. Show me a picture. Show me a picture. All I can see right now are these live charts. Paul, you get odds favorable into the mid-band. You're taking an entry not inside of favorable large triggers from a bad bottom in a big downtrend. It almost feels like your plan is changing a little bit, Paul. All right. You know it's okay. When you know that you're deviating, take a deep breath, right? Get back to basics. Guys, everybody's going to deviate from their plan. Everybody's going to make a mistake. Everybody's going to fight. Everybody's going to hope. It happens. But if you recognize it, that's your cue to get back on track, isn't it? Let's see what we have here. D. D, can you tell me what the difference is here between this and your last trade? Now, this is a great lesson. This is a great lesson. D, what's the one thing you didn't have here that you had on that other trade? You had the momentum, right? What was that second piece that helped you find success? I see a checklist, but I don't see it being used, right? What good is the checklist if you're not using it? I've got seat belts in every seat of my car, but if I don't put it around me, I'm wasting that technology, right? Termination condition. Exactly right. So D, it turns out to be pretty simple ultimately, right? You know that momentum pushes it down. You're good at that read. You identified it perfectly. Now you just have to commit to that clear path as well. Give yourself the advantage. Guys, these fibs are amazing, and they can stop the market in their tracks. All you had to do, D, is wait to see if that thing was going to break, and then look for your opportunity, right? Awesome. Thanks for posting that one. Guys, I'll be back in just 1 second. Give me just a second. All right, guys. Sorry, not sorry about that. So D, great picture. Great job. This is all we do, guys. We talk about rules, we talk about advantages, and we talk about how to do it. I love this. Odds favorable, right? That would have been your entry. You just took all your money on the way down. You didn't even wait. X-Romance, beautiful trade. You didn't even need to manage it. You took 3. You got out 3. 34, 34. So that is 8. I can't read that one. That's 10. I'm guessing pretty close to $300. Boom, boom, boom. Fast, fast, fast. Nice trade. Buck Blue. Buck Blue, everything says up. You take the entry just below the area inside. Take your exit. We're right into that. We're close. We didn't make it, though. I like it. I like your entry. Buck Blue, can we talk about the entry? See how your entry lines up with that pullback to the large triggers on the 13-2? I love that. You've got these split triggers, but you knew that it may close that gap. That's a great read. J-Rod, were you going to show me that picture? I'd love to see it. We'll go back to crude when I'm done here, and we'll see. Earl, everything says up. Momentum says up. You take the pullback to the mid-band and let it finish the move to the fib. Use the outside large trigger on the 5-1 as an entry. Right on. Oh, no worries. You're not set up at the moment? No problem, J-Rod. Just tell me that. If I say, hey, show me a picture, go, Mark, I can't. Then I'll help you with the picture, I promise. All right, so here's the picture. Guys, we're going to talk about gap theory real quick. You're wondering about that mid-band, right? J-Rod, this is a good picture because there's 2 ways to look at it. The first way to look at it, and I'm going to take a picture of your picture. I think that the first way to look at it is where's the market coming from? And what we're doing here is the market's not coming from a key area, right? The market's not coming from a fib, from a 1-to-1. There's not really a pivot stop out down here. So anytime that I have this look, I'm at least going to be aware. of the mid-band, especially if the market's been in a big downtrend. It's not a termination condition, but it becomes a point of awareness when we're not coming from a strong top or bottom. Does that make sense? But you have odds favorable. You have key areas coming up here. This is one of those trades that if everything lines up and looks perfect, I'm not too terribly worried about that mid-band because of the momentum. When I become aware of the mid-band is when we have what's called the gap theory working. When price accelerates away and hits that mid-band and the large triggers don't follow, when those large triggers remain more than a full bar away, that's when I worry about the mid-band. Chris T, same thing, right? When you were wondering if it was that mid-band that made it not work, this is that gap theory, guys. When those large triggers don't follow, price accelerates away, even from a good bottom, hits a Fibonacci area, whether it's fibs, whether it is one-to-ones, whether it's a mid-band, and the large triggers don't follow, guys, this is very powerful. It acts like a vacuum, sucking price right back to those large triggers. We see it again right here. And I'm looking at the 13 too. Absolutely, D. And it's not necessarily, hey, let's take a short. It's not necessarily, hey, let's take a long. But what it is, and you can see it, let's go back and see how often it happens. Price gets all the way up to those one-to-ones. You see how the large triggers don't follow and it closes the gap? Let's see if there's another example of it. Well, here price pulls all the way back to resistance and the large triggers don't blink and it continues down. Price accelerates up into this mid-band beyond it. Large triggers don't follow and it closes the gap. Guys, it's not necessarily a short trade or a long trade. Price accelerates all the way to support, full bar back to the large triggers, and it closes the gap. What this is, price reaches the mid-band, large triggers are a full bar away. The way I want you guys to think about this is a vacuum sucking price right back to those triggers. And if I scroll back, let's see what that looks like on the 5-1. And guys, that was a full day's worth of them. On the 5-1, what that looked like is a potential loser, right? It still doesn't suck back to them. There's another potential. It keeps you from trying over and over and over, fighting that vacuum. Does that make sense, guys? And here we see it again. This is a pivot that doesn't come from an area. It reaches that mid-band, the large triggers don't follow, and ultimately it ends up continuing in the direction of the trend. What do we see right now on crude? One-to-ones were hit. Divergence high was hit. 50-50, right? This is the potential to break but hasn't broken. Trigger lines don't agree at all over here. Not even a little bit. The large are kind of flat. The synthetics are down here. Your only area is caught in between the two. Just in a holding pattern, waiting to see. Small triggers are down, large triggers are up. Area's not broken. This isn't coming from a great bottom. Synthetics are up, large are down, small are below. Guys, is this market going up or down? What do you think? And there's really only one answer. I don't know. I don't know if the market's going up or down. I don't have the advantages in place to feel comfortable taking a trade either direction. I'm going to sit on my hands. Guys, I went a little bit over my 1 hour mark today. I'm going to take a few minutes and I'm going to rest my voice for a second. It's a little scratchy. I'm going to refill my water. I'll be back. I want you to do me a favor. If you're brand new taking pictures, maybe you don't have a lot of experience with it yet, I want you to go ahead and take the picture. I want you to take a picture. I want you to post it in the room. Just tell me what you see. If you take a trade, Annotate that chart, post it in there. If you have a question, let me know. We're going to come back and then we're going to do a little more. We're going to look at the live market. Right now, the live market isn't giving us an opportunity on on crude. What do we see on the S&P though? There's that gap theory. Here's strong triggers. No termination conditions. Guys, can we build a window of opportunity real quick? From the highest point of the triggers to the lowest point of the triggers. There's my area inside of favorable large triggers. I'm going to take a minute. We'll see what happens. I'm not in control. Neither are you. Either the rules are met or not. Guys, I'll be back in about 5 minutes. All right, guys, I'm back. Thank you for your patience. How do I study? If I have odds favorable momentum, if I have no termination conditions, and I circle a tail, was anyone able to get that one? Anybody catch that long? Sometimes you don't get the entry, guys. Sometimes it doesn't quite get right where you need it to be. Missed it by 2 ticks, didn't fill. Tricky, you got it? Nice job. So what are we able to identify, guys? We're able to identify where the market is likely to continue, right? Were you able to identify where the market is likely to go? Does that create a perfect opportunity for you to take profits? When price reached resistance and none of the trigger lines broke through, didn't we identify an area where the market is likely to stop? And now price is pulled all the way back to support, right? Who said gap theory? K-Dog, KR? Of course it works. So there's that potential gap theory. If the smalls break through the area, right, those large triggers aren't going to be a full bar away. It might change the way. Chris T, let's see your picture of the HVA. Let's see if you followed rules. Sam, great question. With 2 divergences on the 5-1, do your rules say to still take a trade? In the beginning, Sam, your rules might say, I'm not sure if this is a trade I'll take. Here's one of the things that I consider. Where are the small triggers in relationship to the large triggers? Still outside, right? We still have odds favorable momentum. Sam, do you see it? Cool. What do those triggers say on the 13-2? Yeah. Nothing in the way. Everything says up. So these 2 divergences, I'm going to zoom in. I want you guys to see this. This is a pattern that you're going to see a lot. Paul knows this one. He loves this pattern. When you get one of these pivot stop outs, guys, are you comfortable with this? Exceeds the pivot, heads back down. We've all seen this a million times, right? We see it at resistance on the 13-2. If I get this look with odds favorable momentum on my 5-1, the expectation, more often than not, is that that push is going to take out the previous pivot right there. Pivot stop out up here with odds favorable momentum typically creates a pivot stop out here, continuation of the trade when the conditions are met on the 13-2. So Sam, in my plan, absolutely, I would still take this trade. Now, if this divergence printed and those small triggers were inside, I may rethink it. But because of the trigger line location, because of the rules being met on the 13-2, this is still very much a trade for me. Does that help a little bit? Awesome. But you have to be comfortable with it, right? You've got to go through and you've got to be comfortable with it. Gary, didn't feel you? Yeah, the mid band was probably lower even as it came back. Paul, let's see what you did. Paul says barely through. Not through at all, Paul. There's a big difference between barely through and not through at all, and that is very much not through at all, my friend. Do you see it? Guys, does everybody see this? Claire, no fill for you as well? It's not even fair or unfair. Did those small triggers make it through? Anybody? In the moment, you get excited, right? In the moment, you say, man, I've got odds favorable momentum. Everything says up. I didn't get filled on that last long. Oh, for the love of fuzzy. I'm just going to say that those are through and I'm going to take that trade. Has anyone ever done that? Has anyone ever convinced themselves that the rules were met when they weren't? There's my hand. About 1,000,000 times. And this reaction from the market helps kind of solidify why we follow these rules, guys. Why we stay with the advantage of a clear path. Because we didn't have it here. But we'll try and convince ourselves that we did, right? Barely through. I like that you didn't take the trade. Especially Sam user, look, 1, 2, 3 divergences, and the small triggers are inside of the large. I think that we skipped that lesson today. We went straight to the live charts and looking at your charts. Straight out of the termination condition section, right? You guys remember that? 3 divergences in the same location may terminate the trend. So guys, 3 termination conditions, just like we saw in that picture, may terminate the trend. So termination plus termination says, man, don't give your money away. Your rules are designed to keep you safe. Your rules are designed to give you advantages. Your rules are designed to help you recognize when it's time to take a trade. Gary, termination conditions everywhere, right? Either let it break or let it roll. KR, I'll tell you what, even John Novak, who wrote the software, who's been trading forever, who taught this room for 2 decades or whatever, he'll tell you, he'll focus on one. He'll focus on the S&P and wait for the best of the best. Because if you're waiting for the best, typically you're going to get all you need on one. Guys, the termination condition broke, didn't it? D, there's your clear path. There's where that clear path goes away, right? There's your clear path. There's where that clear path goes away. Ron C saw it. I bet you he has a picture of entries there. Just throwing that through. That's okay. So now we get to the point. Guys, look at that. The market screams off a termination condition. Doesn't have odds favorable momentum. Right? We have a couple divergences. Sam, there's 2 divergences with the trigger inside. So now here's the moment of honesty. How many of you felt bad about missing that move down and took the short where the rules weren't met? Anybody? I hope not. But if you did, that's human nature playing out, isn't it? Had a trade in but canceled. Good job, Angela. Man, look at this one. Odds favorable, no termination conditions. How did that one miss you, Paul? Did you not readjust? Ah, that's frustrating. That was so close. It looks like it hit you but didn't fill. You were sitting on the previous pivot. I got you. Be willing to sit through that 2 or 3 ticks of drawdown, right, Paul? Because look at the 13.2. 13.2 is screaming with nothing in the way. 5.1 had strong triggers, and if you're using that 13 range, isn't that odds favorable on a 13 range too? Guys, don't trip over pennies, hoping to save dollars. Buck Blue. Buck Blue got it. Nice trade, Buck. Start calling you Uncle Buck. Look at that. Almost 2 hours, 2 trades. So Sam, It's okay to only look at one instrument, right? It's okay to focus your attention while you learn on the best of the best on one chart. Someone asked me the other day, they're like, hey, if trade's set up on both instruments, what do you do? I sit on my hands on one of them, guys. If I take one trade, I have to be able to manage a trade. I can't manage a trade if I'm not watching the trade, right? What do we have on the S&P right now, guys? I have odds favorable momentum, don't I? What do you think? Any reason to go long? No. Guys, are you starting to get it? Those of you that are still relatively new, are you starting to believe it? Termination conditions break sometimes, don't they? But more often they don't. No, the market is great, new trader. We've got movement everywhere, don't we? Crazy good. I love it. Much more movement than yesterday. Guys, anything can happen triggers. What do we notice though? We do have a clear path, right? Can we talk about termination conditions? Price reaches resistance. All of my trigger lines are angled down and below. What can we say about resistance? When support breaks, it acts as resistance. This isn't your high probability trend trade, guys. But isn't this an area likely to stop the market when everything says down, when all your triggers are down? This becomes a medium probability trade, and it didn't give you a good entry when the triggers roll. And now it's happening again, right? Anything can happen. We have a clear path. We're on the other side of support, but I don't have a rules-based entry. Does it stand to reason that your chart reading may eventually get you into a trade like this? It may eventually let you recognize advantages. Maybe you have a third chart that helps, but the rules aren't met, which means that you have to be okay sitting on your hands. But just one more powerful, guys, for termination conditions. Look what this termination condition did. Push that market down, didn't it? How are we feeling about the day? If you're brand new, is it starting to make sense? Are you starting to believe it a little bit? Guys, price doesn't reach a key area, pulls all the way back up to resistance. Large triggers don't follow. Gap theory continues the move to the next key area. J-Rob, those are small swings. Small swing one-to-ones. It's a lot of math. There's the picture that tells you exactly how they come to be. Not always. When it lines up with other areas, sometimes. If I have them at one-to-ones, if I have them, it's sometimes the market overruns a little bit. See how we don't have a picture-perfect view here? These small swing one-to-ones may give you a potential stopping point. They may give you a potential bouncing point. I don't have any rules in my trading that really uses them, recognizes or respects them that much. But if you're overrunning areas, sometimes they're a good way to catch. There's only small swings on the 8. Paul, are you saying that there's no one-to-ones on your NinjaTrader 8? Today or ever? No, I don't. Oh, I'm with you. I don't know. Maybe you could turn them on. I don't know. I've never taught with them. One-to-one small swings, plots, so they're in there. Guys, I like to remind you guys that they're there. Magenta solid dot 4. I don't know how to make them true or not, to be honest with you, Paul. I read my indicators, guys. I'm not always comfortable with how they come to be. My job in this room is to take the indicators on your chart and teach you how to use them to your advantage. Technical questions, you got to get those to John Novak. Gary, they haven't at all, have they? Large triggers are still very much pointed down. It's a good looking termination condition, but don't those large triggers suggest that maybe we might push a little lower? All the triggers on your 5-1 suggest maybe we're going to push a little lower. Price pulls all the way back to the mid-band, and these things don't blink. Guys, Gary, good in the moment read. All right, price is pulling back to resistance. All my trigger lines are below, but my smalls are up. Is it a short? Are we looking for a long? What do your rules say, guys? I have odds favorable momentum to the upside, don't I? Am I into a termination condition? Man, 90% of what we do, guys. 90% of what we do is just going to be waiting for those advantages. Have you seen enough people taking winning trades today? Taking high probability trend trades, getting paid for it to start to believe it? Because it takes repetition, guys. There's this point in your head where it clicks and you're like, oh my gosh, absolutely, that makes sense. Why don't we go short arbitrarily at a red line and fight momentum because we think it's going to hold? Because look at that. So guys, now we're into, let's talk about it. Pivot, not from an area. Where are we coming from? Not a strong bottom, not even divergence. And we're into a 50-50 trade, guys. You have small triggers up, large triggers up. Do you see how they're straddling 78.65? This area has the potential to break, but hasn't broken. This is a 50-50 trade. This is not a high probability. Guys, if you take an entry on a 50-50 trade, you can't expect that 70 to 80%. Look at what the market did. What's the market been doing all day? How do we feel about a less than high probability trend trade going into a mid-band in a very decided downtrend? What do you think, guys? Is boredom going to say, let's take this one trade 50-50? Or are you going to say, well, if there's no divergence, I'll take that trade? Got to write a plan, and you have to have a plan that pinpoints the conditions for entry, right? Has anyone done that? I'm going to give you this one. Guys, here's an example of how to write a plan if you're a brand new user. Even more so, here's an example of how to write a plan if you've been struggling with consistency. If you found yourself chasing things, Bobby, going to get something to eat, good idea. That sandwich is going to be less expensive than an opinion in the market, isn't it? Guys, once you recognize your best of the best for entries, once you get to a point where you understand where the advantages lie, if all you focus on is that great entry, because great entries create manageable trades, right? Great entries make it easy to manage. Great entries reduce risk. Great entries increased profit potential. Write yourself a simple plan. My trade is the high probability trend trade. To enter this trade, I got to have the conditions of the checklist met. I've given you the checklist, right? Has anyone missed out on that? Whoa, what's this checklist Mark's talking about? Here we go. Here's 2 of them again for you. Why do I give this to you 8 times every day? Because I believe in it. Because this is a checklist that'll help the average user win between 70 to 80% of the time when the rules are met. Because that memory of success creates confidence. Because that confidence keeps those sweaty palms from happening when you pull the trigger. Keeps you from adjusting your chart 1,000 times. It puts you in a position where the rules are met. You slide your chair 6 feet back and let the chips fall where they may, guys. Steal pictures, study pictures, grab them from the manual. I want you to flood your spreadsheet with pictures of the perfect trade. I'm going to go to the educational page real quick, guys. You have this spreadsheet. If you can't find it, download it right here from this Google link, right? On this spreadsheet are 70 pictures of high probability trend trades. 70 pictures of rules met high probability trend trades that you can study each and every day. Put a couple into your plan, guys. Study them every day. Get used to it. All you're doing is defining your entry, guys. We're eating an elephant here, and when you eat an elephant, you have to do it 1 bite at a time. This is your entry. This is getting you in. It has nothing to do with management. So now you're going to clearly define your management plan, guys. This is the second half of writing your personal plan. This is the most mechanical approach that I know to take a trade, to manage a trade. If you trade 2 contracts, initial stop will be 12 ticks, adjusted below or above the window of opportunity. Move your stop when it's appropriate, mechanical. Guys, this that I'm about to put in the room covers everything that I've talked about from the beginning of this classroom. It talks about entries, it talks about management, it talks about your outline for education. It talks about your path to getting to the point to where you think you're ready to trade live. Let me give you a copy. Guys, I share everything. I don't keep secrets from you. And then it talks about using a prop firm like Apex Trader, allowing you to trade other people's money to test your plan. Study this. If you have questions about it, let me know. If you haven't written your own plan, write it. Congratulations, KR. I know, KR, you recently got funded. Paul, you recently got funded. Would you gentlemen agree that adherence to a plan helps out an awful lot? NG time, let's see what you did, my friend. NG time says, when everything's going down, anything can happen, triggers. You got in well below the areas, right? At the triggers. Not a high probability trend trade entry. But trading with direction. Loss of momentum. Everything says down though. You get in a little bit late. It's a good looking trade. Every chart's the same color. It definitely increases your odds, doesn't it? Strong trending, pulls back to resistance, likely to hold. Nice trade, Sam. Nice trade. Guys, define your rules. Learn how to trade them. What's your path to becoming a confident trader ASAP? Post your trades in class. Give yourself the advantage of having a coach that's here 15 hours a week, And the only thing I want to do is give you feedback on what you're doing and help you become better. Take every trade that you take and put it in the spreadsheet, because what's going to happen is the more you look at a spreadsheet, guys, every time you take a trade, you're going to recognize patterns, right? You're in idle mode today and you hate it. Zeba, go ride a horse. Go ride a horse. Go walk around. Go down to Market Street. You ride in the afternoon? Guys, trading shouldn't be frustrating. I know you're waiting on your data, Zeba. If there's nothing for you to do, I mean, the class is great, right? You've heard all this. Go enjoy yourself. It's okay. This is the one. Yeah. D, her challenge isn't so much that the trades aren't setting up. She doesn't have data to take them. Yeah, so she's watching us in here. Guys, if you fill out this first sheet, everything you do, whether it wins or loses, how you were feeling, give it notes. You're going to recognize patterns in the market. You're going to recognize patterns in yourself. It's going to help you out. And D, I absolutely love that you have that saved. So you're going to take pictures. You're going to use a spreadsheet, guys. You're going to learn the trigger line and Fibonacci rules for when it's okay to trade. Does anyone remember that we've given you those rules? We've showed you what they look like. We've put them in order. We have a manual that you can go back and reference, and we have a classroom that you can ask questions in 15 hours every week. Learn the trigger lines and rules. That's your first step. Simulate your trades daily and post those pictures in class until you're sure that you're trading the correct rules. Guys, you may need help on entries. You may need help with termination conditions. You might even need help with odds favorable momentum. That's okay. If you post in the class, you're going to get all that help that you need. Don't practice the wrong trades, guys. Don't take trades because you're bored. Don't take trades because you think it'll be fun. Oh, let's go counter trend. You're creating bad habits. And if you're not firmly grounded in your plan, you're creating muscle memory. Simplify your plan. What looks will you commit to? You have to learn the looks so that they become easy. That's repetition. I've seen so many pictures of high probability trend trades that I can anticipate. I've seen so many pictures of high probability trend trades that I can anticipate it happening before this reversal bar ever prints, right? That's your goal. After class, before the next day, download your replay data. Replay the day, guys. Fix your mistakes. D, you traded into a termination condition today. Use market replay. Go back and skip that trade. Right? See what your results can be when you have the opportunity to pause the market and really double check your rules. That's what market replay for is, guys. It's not to boost your ego. Ooh, look how much money I made on market replay. It's to go back and fix your mistakes so that you can see how much money you're capable of making when you do it right. That builds trust. Fix your mistakes. Take the ones you skipped. Skip the ones that you shouldn't have taken. Take pictures of the correct trades. And guys, bring me those pictures. Let's talk about them. I love market replay pictures because it means that you're studying. Bring them into class. It doesn't have to be the live market for me to answer your questions. Repeat this process every day until you always take the correct trades. Guys, if you're always taking the correct trades, if you're always taking a high probability trend trade, what should your win percentage be hovering around? Give or take. Give me a number in the room. 70 to 80, D? So if you're taking a trade and you're winning 70 to 80% of the time, do you think you're guaranteeing yourself that you can win at that point? Are you putting yourself in a position where you're like, you know what? I know that the odds are favorable for me to win more than I lose. That's when you consider trading live money. Does that make sense? Don't trade live money because you think there's some BS reason, well, if I don't have a skin in the game, I won't perform. And guys, when you think you're ready to trade live money, before risking your capital, test your trading plan. Use a prop firm like Apex. They run sales all the time, guys. You can control $1 million worth of their money for about $400 a month. You get to keep the first 25 grand. 90% after that. Because what's going to happen is when you go live, you're going to see just how much you trust your rules. And most of us think we're better than we are in the beginning. Most of us go into it with this false sense of security. Well, I had a good week on simulator. I'm never going to lose. You're going to see exactly what your plan's going to do, guys. And there's no penalty for being cautious when you start trading live. The actual harm comes from thinking you're a better trader than you are and blowing out a large sum of capital. I'm going to give you this one more time, guys. This is a piece of paper that you should read and click every link at least 10 times this afternoon so that you're comfortable with the process to get you to where you said you wanted to be. Sam, earlier crude trade, let's see what you got. Sam says, with odds favorable momentum, with nothing in the way, he'll take a pullback to an area of resistance inside of favorable large triggers. And Sam, because of all that momentum, do you mean to tell me that you held it all the way down until two divergences finally told you that it might stop? So you got out at 82. So that's 1838, 430 on that one. So that's $540, Sam, over the course of 3 minutes. Is there any reason to chase other trades? Is there any reason to fight triggers? Is there any reason to trade into termination conditions? Sam, that was a great trade. Are you starting to trust and believe? I hope so. Sam, can I steal your picture? Put it into my spreadsheet? Because I'm not going to lie, Sam, I want to be able to trade like you one day. I want to be able to do exactly what you've done there. I want to be able to trade with confidence. I want to be able to trade with advantages. I want to be able to nail that entry. Holy smokes. Look at this, guys, with the reversal bar. Sam got in at the high tick. At the high tick. He was taking profits by the third bar from his entry. I love this trade. Guys, this is a reflection of what's possible when you study. This is a reflection of what you're capable of if you take the time to do the best of the best. I can tell you that Sam showed me 50 examples of where he circled tails and read the entries. Sam's using a spreadsheet. Sam's posting in class. Sam is following the path to the absolute letter. And it's already paying dividends. Mid-band, triggers don't follow. Nothing to do here. We're back into resistance. Guys, crude's telling you to hold on a minute. It's trying to figure out what it wants to do, right? S&P says, well, we're trying. I've got a 50-50 trade. I've got large triggers down. I got synthetics flat. Areas with the potential to break. I've had multiple divergences. Who's taking trades because they're bored and who's taking trades because their rules are met? Who's fully aware that they have no control of the market? Anybody? Guys, right here, sellers are in control. People with deep pockets and enough money to move the market. Here, buyers in control, straight to a textbook termination. Sellers are in control, straight to a textbook termination. Buyers try to push. The sellers let them get to the mid-band and push it lower. The buyers steal their momentum, and they're right back to that mid-band. Guys, what you're witnessing is an awesome fight between market movers. The large crowd. I haven't shared this one in a while. Those guys creating the movement, those guys respecting the termination conditions, creating the momentum, creating the reversals. Guys, those are the big money investors. Those are the sharks. We can't compete with those guys. If you're trading anything less than 1,000 contracts, you virtually have zero influence in this market. You're a smart car on I-10 between Houston and California, hoping the semis don't crush you. We can be like the Remora, guys. We can let those sharks do everything that they're going to do, regardless of what we say. We can let them create tops and bottoms, let them create odds favorable momentum, show us that we have a clear path, and then we can take advantage, right? We can take advantage of their hard work by grabbing those great entries, by recognizing their odds favorable momentum, by recognizing the clear path, by letting those people fighting the sharks push us right back to the best of the best. Know your place. We don't go long because of blue lines. We don't go short just because of red lines. We wait for the advantages to be in place. Let them fight, guys. Eventually they're going to give us everything we need to feel good about a trade, aren't they? Remember when we said that when price comes from beyond the areas, very often it likes to get to that next key area. Does everyone see the line in the sand right here, 4,009? That's the lowest point the sellers have gotten. If they break through it with odds favorable momentum, if they create that clear path, if I can identify areas inside of favorable large triggers, well then maybe there's a trade. Are the rules met right now, guys? What do you think? Should I activate a limit order? Oh my gosh, somebody save me from myself, please. I'll save myself. Price reached a divergence low and absolutely none of the trigger lines broke through. Guys, this is textbook termination condition, right? Textbook termination condition. It might break. I'm not willing to risk my money on hope. The suspense is incredible. And look at that fight again, guys. Sellers tried, buyers made it to the mid-band. Sellers tried again, buyers stole their momentum, made it to resistance. Sellers tried again, and the buyers are giving it another go. Can we identify? Can we identify the line in the sand above us just like we did below? If the buyers are really going to win this fight, if this market's really going to make its way back up, aren't we going to get above 78.87? Or if the sellers are really going to take it to that next level, can't we agree that 78.50 has to be broken? And until that happens, look what happens when I squish this. Does everybody recognize the consolidation and the miracle that is no rules met? So you don't get caught in the chop? I love rules, guys. Big fan of rules. Does it mean, and let's ask ourselves, does it mean that there won't be a time where you're willing to take a less than probable scenario? You probably will. And you might have reasons for doing it, but your chart reading will let you know when those advantages are gone, won't it? Your chart reading will let you know. Absolutely, Jerry. I figured we'd watch the market for just a second. It's not going to take a full hour. Are you guys ready? You want to go over some of the basics on NinjaTrader 8? Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. I'm just going to pull up my NinjaTrader 8 real quick, guys. In full disclosure, ladies and gentlemen. Nope, NinjaTrader 8. So D, NinjaTrader 8 has is just the next platform. It's an upgrade. It's just like 2.0. I'm not going to say you should switch. NinjaTrader 7 is working just fine, and that's what you're comfortable with. But know that eventually NinjaTrader 7 is going to lose its support, guys. It's like Windows 10 or Windows 9 or Windows 8. If you're running Windows 8 on your computer, doesn't it seem a little outdated? Eventually, things move a different direction. So guys, the first thing I'm going to do when I pull up my NinjaTrader, if it doesn't connect automatically, I've got to connect, right? I've got to get that green light. And now I'm connected to my live data. And I'm just going to open up the workspace, guys. These are all on the installers. Let me give you a where to. If you go to the resource page, right up at the top, NinjaTrader 8, 64-bit, download the installer. Guys, this is going to put the new one on your computer. And it's going to give you a crude oil futures. It's going to give you an E-mini S&P futures. I deleted all the rest of them. I've got a little OCD. If I click on my Nexgen crude oil futures, the one thing that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to put these where you want them to be because they're going to come up kind of all over your charts. I've already rearranged mine to make this class a little easier. Look at how quickly that just loaded, guys. Isn't that amazing? That's how fast. Because we're not using tick replay on this, guys, which means that we're not getting synthetic fibs. What does that mean? That means that my 21.3 fibs, which normally print over here, aren't. 78.65 is acting as resistance right now, or support, but I can't see that line over here because we're not running synthetics. So you're going to be able to use two keys. You can either use your drawing mode, right? And you can draw these in. I can take a line. Whoops. I can take an F2 line. I don't want that. I want it to extend all the way. So I will take the horizontal line. And if I want this to be my resistance, I'm going to change the color. I can make it red. Maybe since I want to recognize it, excuse me, as synthetics, I'll make it a dash. I want it visible, and I want it visible on all charts. So let me give you guys a picture. Is everybody comfortable with this so far? Pretty easy. All we're doing is drawing a line, right? Patience, Luciano. So Luciano, I just drew a red dashed line on my 21.3, right? I'm going to squish all my charts. I want you to see this. I'm going to click it, and I'm going to put it over resistance. So it's right there at 79.80. There it is on my 13.2. There it is on my 5.1. So what I've done is I've taken this area of resistance and I've transferred it so I can be aware of it on my 13.2 and I can be aware of it on my 5.1. So far, so good? We need to do support as well, right? So since I've already used the horizontal line, F6, I'm going to use a ray, F3. And I've created this line that extends all the way over, but I'm going to use the ray as support. So I double click, and once again, I'm going to change the color. I'm going to turn that ray Dodger blue because support is blue. I'm going to make it a dash so that I know that it's synthetic, so that it's coming from a different time frame. And I'm going to make sure that it's on all charts. And guys, if you want to not have to redo this every time, click Template and Save and set it as the default. So now, every time I click F3 and make a ray, if I want to use the shortcut, every time I click F3, and of course you want to straighten that out, then I can create this blue area of support. So what I want to do is I want to come through and I want to make sure that I know where my blue areas of support are. You can see that it lines up with a 13.2. It's a little bit in the distance on the 5.1. So guys, you can take 4 to 5 minutes, right? F3, there's a ray, there's support. I do. I'm going to go F6, that's my line. Whoops, we forgot to make this one red as our default. So I'm going to make it red, I'm going to make it dashed, and I'm going to set this as the default so I don't have to do this every time. And I'm just going to put it over resistance. F6, there's a line, put it over resistance. F6, there's a line, put it over resistance. So guys, now all of my synthetic fibs are showing up on my 13.2. I'm looking at these termination conditions now. And I'm done. What do you think? Seems tedious, right? Seems like a pain in the butt. Why do I have to do this? Well, guys, you have to do it because NinjaTrader said, I'm doing away with NinjaTrader 7 eventually. And John Novak said, let me come up with the easiest possible way for my crew to be able to take these trades. Odds favorable, no termination. Guys, you see I'm on simulator. It is. Your 13.2s aren't showing up as well, but aren't we only using 2 charts, Angela? I'm still using limit orders. Guys, I'm still having rules met. I'm still looking for areas inside of favorable large triggers. I'm still going through every process. So Angela, if I only have 2 charts, if I'm trading the 13.2 and I'm trading the 5.1, doesn't it make sense that I can just go ahead and use the 13.2 that I'm looking at? The only thing that I needed moved over were those ones coming from the higher time frame, right? I don't have stops or targets in, guys. That's a silly way to trade. But isn't that amazing? Odds favorable, no termination. Easy $100. Luciano, the exact same way. Data series, right click, data series. Scroll to the very, very bottom. Plot executions, text and marker, markers only, or do not plot. Guys, give me a Y in the room if you can hear me. Jerry's not getting sound. Cal, I need details. You love to ask why. Are you asking why I got that silly tattoo of Woody Woodpecker when I was 15? Because I was silly and 15, Cal. Why what? Why was this a trade? Because I had odds favorable momentum, because I had no termination conditions, and because I entered at the area of resistance inside of favorable large triggers. Because my rules were met, Cal. And what do we know about my rules? Well, my rules tend to win more than they lose. So I'm willing to take this trade every time. Guys, if you got into that trade and for some reason you got stopped out, do you see how your small triggers rolled? Folger, this is the one you like. And it pulls right back to a mid band, right at the small triggers which have rolled. Sure looks like that one maybe. Jonathan, I believe they're set to update every 2 hours. But remember, guys, that your 21.3 is a large chart, right? Your 21.3 is a huge time frame. Whoops, I'm looking at the wrong NinjaTrader here. Let me find my 21.3 real quick. $13.2. There it is. So here's my 21.3. That's the range for the entire day. You see it, Jonathan? What is it, 5 or 6 fibs maybe? Might be okay in the beginning as you get comfortable with this. Go, oh, shoot. I should check this every now and then, right? No worries, Luciano, I got you. It's exactly 100% Luciano. Like NinjaTrader 7. Data series. Scroll to the bottom. Do not plot, markers only, text and marker. Now, Luciano, are you running the new workspace? Okay. So you're just going to use that plot executions down here. Downloaded yesterday? Cool. Guys, that's really it. When we're looking at NinjaTrader 8, the software is exactly the same, guys. All of the code to create the fibs to give you everything that you're used to seeing on 7 is 100% the same. John Novak didn't have to change code to create different fibs, to create different time frames. He didn't have to do anything like that. All he had to do was put it into NinjaTrader 8. Change is scary, but it literally took us just a second, right? And watch this. Let's remove all drawing objects. Just open up the workspace, Jonathan. It'll take everything for you. Yeah, Sam, if you do it when you close out NinjaTrader, like, okay, I'm done. I'm closing out 7. Do it right then. As long as you don't open it back up until the next morning, you're fine. Let me pull up my workspace. Just like this, guys. Let me close it. Same as NinjaTrader 7. Workspace. Close. Do I want to save it? Yes. All right, so I'm up and I'm connected, right? Double click. Up comes the control center. Chris T, did you make it back yet? Okay, it took an hour to load this morning. That may be on your end, Sam. Sam, how many have you rebuilt charts lately? Maybe they defaulted to 30 days. No. It may be on your end. It may be your computer. It may be your internet. You might have had a hitch in it or something. We're going to do it one more time, guys, from the beginning. Just repetition breeds confidence, right? NinjaTrader 8's up. It's open. I'm connected. Perfect. Yeah, no, we're going to do it again, Chris. I want to make sure you have this. I'm connected. Green dot. On NinjaTrader 7, what's it look like? NinjaTrader 7, it says connected. Here, the green dot, same thing. On NinjaTrader 7, we go File, Workspace, Open Workspace, and then it gives us our list. On NinjaTrader 8, we just go Workspace, and it defaults to the list. There's no difference, Sam. Totally different. Apples and oranges. The reason I asked is because if you build a chart, it will default to 30 days back rather than 10 that we're using in the workspaces. And sometimes that'll hemorrhage a computer with too much tick data. But if you haven't done that, you should be okay. So guys, workspace, I'll open up crude oil. I'm going to click on it. And here it comes. Watch how fast this loads. Absolutely. Boom. Guys, my charts are built. Isn't that awesome? 3 divergences in the same location. Anybody remember that one? So what are we doing? What's the difference, guys? When you're looking at, I'm going to pull up my data series real quick. It's this nasty little box right here that was getting us. Okay? We still don't know why there were challenges, but a lot of research has led us to this, guys, and a lot of Nexgen users were very instrumental in this. Making sure that tick replay is not checked, because if tick replay is checked, then it's using all those synthetics. It's building all those, pulling all those different things over. So make sure that your tick data is unchecked. So far, does it feel pretty comfortable, guys? It's the same stuff, right? It's the same concept. They look a little different, don't they? But aren't they the same thing? Strategies, accounts, executions, orders, tools. It's all very, very similar. But it's a little different, right? You just broke up with your girlfriend. You got a new girlfriend. It's still a girl, but she's different. Little different things. Guys, it's just a little different. But the difference is with that tick data being gone, is this 7865 fib doesn't show up on your 13.2. It doesn't show up on your 5.1. Your software will pull areas from a 21.3 to show you those key areas on your 13.2. Eventually, Safia, because NinjaTrader 7 is not going to be an option, eventually, it still is very much. There's an 8 range chart right there. Market flow. So what we're going to do, guys, is we're just going to help it out. We're going to take these key areas from the 21.3, right? And then when we take these key areas from the 21.3 and draw them in, they're going to transfer to the 5.1. They're going to transfer to the 13.2. Make it so you can see both of these. And how many charts are we trading with, new users? That 21.3 is not even there, right? But we're accustomed to seeing the areas from it. So I'm going to take my 21.3 and I'm going to squish it. I can get a couple layers of support, a couple layers of resistance. If I go to my drawing tools, guys, a ray is going to extend. You draw it in. Well, the code for ray is F3. I can just click F3. I don't even have to drop that down. And I'm going to draw a ray to the right. Pretty easy, right? I just put a blue dashed line. There's that same ray on my 13.2. There's that same ray on my 5.1. Well, guys, I want to be able to identify support. So I'm going to take this ray, I'm going to grab it from the center, and I'm going to pull it down, and I'm going to put it at support. And now I can see that key area on my 13.2. I can see that key area on my 5.1. I've got another area of support, so once again, I'm going to hit F3, and I'm going to draw that ray. And I'm going to put it at support, guys. That's all I'm doing. So now I've identified my key areas, right? They're showing up on my 13.2 so I can respect them. They're showing up on my 5.1 so I can respect them. Give me a Y in the room. Pretty easy, right? It's going to take some practice, isn't it? Don't you think it would make sense to practice this a couple times this afternoon? Just kind of commit it to memory. So that was F3, guys. I'm going to use two commands. I'm going to use F3. I'm going to use the ray for support. Whoops. And then I'm going to do F6. And I'm going to use a line for resistance. If you don't want to use F6, if that's not your thing, here's my horizontal line, F6. There we go. If you haven't done it yet, double click it. Make sure that it shows up on all charts. Make sure that it's red. You can set it to your default. I'm going to draw a line, and I'm going to put it over resistance. I'm going to click F6 a second time. It's going to give me another line, and I'm going to put it at resistance. And guys, I have just put my key areas from a higher time frame on the two charts that I'm trading. I know it seems scary before we actually do it, but isn't that pretty cool? And remember, guys, we're not trading a 21.3. We're trading a 13.2, and we're trading a 5.1, and we're looking for odds favorable momentum, and we're looking for no termination conditions. And we're looking for opportunities to take that market to the next key area. And now I'm going to open it up for questions, guys. Some of you are sitting there overwhelmed. Some of you are saying, no problem, I got this. But Ninja Trader is very much your grandma right now, saying, because I said so. Why are we doing this? Because I said so. Guys, we don't get a vote. All we can do is make our lives as easy as possible. And this is the easiest way to do it, guys. It helps keep that Ninja Trader 8 stable with what we're doing. You still get all the areas, right? You still have your trigger lines. Your rules are still in place. That's it. Exactly, Chris. Because when I go through on NinjaTrader 7, let me figure out which one is my 7, and I pull up my workspace on 7, let me slide the 5-1 over, let me slide my 13-2 over, and here is my 21. Do you see that fib that's native, 1631, right there? See that big, thick fib that doesn't extend? That's all it is. It's just letting me see that fib. That area of support that extends at 37.97.90, that's it right there. That big, thick fib on the 13.2. Guys, that's the only difference, is we're just pulling them over. It's all right, Gary. Stop losses happen sometimes. Did you follow your rules? Did you stick to your plan? That's always the question I ask myself if I don't have a great day. It is uncomfortable at first. Then good job, Gary. Close it down. Go grab a beer. Come back tomorrow. And Claire, you're absolutely right. And I don't think there's anybody in the world that hates change as much as I do. I have a history of fighting change every opportunity that I get. The second half of that, guys, if you don't have a great day in the market, if you didn't hit your goal, if you ended up at your stop loss, and there's going to be days where it happens, that's your cue to scroll back. Did you catch this one that fit the rules? Did you catch every trade that fit the rules? There's that news drop. Did you get that short? Were you able to catch that short? Did that long work out for you? There's two things I do on a bad day, guys. I look at the pictures that I took and make sure that I followed my rules, right? You don't, Chris? But if you want, if every now and then you want to do that anyway, right? Because fresh is good. You can go to Tools and Historical Data. Whoops, wrong screen. And you can literally just download your historical data. Go to Download. Select your instrument. Give it that 10, 11 day range, right? Maybe 12 just for good measure. Get your tick and your minute, get your ask and your bid, and just download it. Start fresh, no worries. And guys, we're going to make sure that everything that we're talking about here is going to be put in one place that's easy for you to reference back. You can always ask me in the classroom. I know that change freaks some people out, myself included. But I want you to open up your mind. The same way you allow yourself to be new when you start, you just get to be new again for a couple days. Jerry, I do it the exact same way that I do it on 7. So I'll close my workspace and click yes, right? Cal, it will be. NinjaTrader's getting rid of 7. They're moving forward. Guys, we're here for you. We're going to make sure it's a smooth transition. And then Jerry, after that, I click that X button and I'm done. That's it. And then bringing it up is really just a double click on the, there's my NinjaTrader icon. I double click it. And just like 7, it comes up. They sell themselves a little bit, initializing the database. And there I am. Mine doesn't connect automatically. So I have to go connections, connect. And now I'm in. And Jerry, here's the best part. Watch how fast crude oil loads up. Guys, without those synthetics on there, look at how fast these charts come to life. It's about 12 seconds, isn't it? I don't know about you. That's the price of admission for me. That's pretty awesome. So all you're doing, guys, is you're taking an extra 3 minutes in your morning, right? You're taking an extra 3 minutes in your morning to get those synthetics over. If you're a live trader, practice it a little bit. Do a little simulation. Cool thing is, guys, market replay, right? If I go to historical data, I can download, where's it at? Market replay. These are my market replay dates that I've already gone back and done. I can download the historical data. Get market replay data. What instrument? Well, let's do the S&P. What date? I'll tell you what, let's do last Wednesday, because last Wednesday I made a lot of mistakes. I need my ask and my bid. I need my tick. I need my minute. Ready? And I'm going to download it. And right now I'm downloading market replay data. So I can go back and replay the first. It's downloading it just like NinjaTrader 7. And now it's done. Check this out. So I'm going to go connections and I'm going to get rid of my live. And I'm going to come into playback connection. That's not it. Oh yeah, it was. Playback connection. Is it up here? Nope, it's on my other screen. Let me grab that. Guys, you can take literally like a month's worth or a week's worth and do it. So now I've got 3-1, 3-1, and here's my favorite part is I'm going to open up my S&P workspace. I don't have to build charts. It's going to take a second. It's going back to the first. It's doing what it does. Let's see how quick that wants to come up for me. It'll go slow because we're at the end of class, right? Here we go. So now I have my workspace built. And look at this. I can replay like it's live. What was that, 2 minutes, guys? Jerry, no tick data is probably why. And I'm sure that John Novak would have better answers, or maybe even Jason. But yeah, isn't that awesome, Chris? And I'm sorry, Jerry, I don't have the answer on that one. That's going to have to go to the programmers a little more. And then when you're done with it, disconnect from playback. Close your workspace, save it. Get out of NinjaTrader 8, guys, and you're done. I love it. Your one chart NT8 is still crashing with no synthetics? That's weird, Claire. I haven't had a crash on mine in probably 3 or 4 weeks doing that one. Jump into the main room. Guys, there's tons of discussion in Discord over here. And there's people that are like 100%. They're tech guys, and they talk about it. It does, X-Romance. Because you're drawing all those lines on it, you need them to stay. You need that chart up so that you can do it. So you can just minimize it. Get your 2 chart set up and just minimize it in the back. What do you think, guys? Is it doable? It's a little scary, right? It's a little bit scary initially, but you're going to be just fine. What do we think about that overwhelming downtrend from a termination condition? Mid-band, go down, mid-band, go down. Guys, it's very doable. You just have to do it. Just tell yourself, I don't have a choice. Eat your vegetables. And you'll be just fine. Guys, good class today. A lot of great participation, a lot of great pictures. I hope there's a lot of great lessons going on today. There's a lot of great lessons on simplicity, a lot of great lessons on respecting your termination conditions. There's chances. Folgo, there's a chance that a plane will crash through my roof too. So doing what we just talked about, making sure that you run it without tick replay or without that tick data, that seems to be the key to keeping that crash from happening. And it's not the indicators, guys. I can't stress this enough. It's not the indicators. The indicators for 6 and 7, or for 7 and 8, if you took them and took the code and laid them right next to each other, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. They're 100% exactly the same. The problem was discovered. John's been working tirelessly for years trying to get it fixed. And because he hasn't been able to, not running the tick data appears to be the fix. So we got to kind of not run the tick data. And you know what stinks is no matter how much we stomp our feet and hold our breath, NinjaTrader's made this decision, so we're working with what they're doing, right? We're working from their decision to create options for you guys to make sure that you don't miss a beat in education, to make sure that you don't miss a beat in simulation, to make sure you don't miss a beat being able to do market replay. So all we're doing is we're just trying to keep you going. Yeah, the tick data is the synthetics, Bobby. You do not want that clicked on. And guys, as I switch over to 8 in the mornings on classes, we can go through that process every morning of drawing in our areas together. We can compare the two and make sure you're good. Bobby, did you get the lesson on drawing in? Okay, good. No worries. Gary, if we use 8 tomorrow, then we'll do it in the morning. And Gary, if I don't use 8 tomorrow, then we'll do the exact same thing. We'll go through it in the afternoon. But the best thing that you can do right now, Gary, is open up 8 and practice drawing on it, right? Open up your NinjaTrader 8 and practice getting those lines in. You got two choices, guys. You can fight it, right? You can fight it or you can embrace it. It's my 2 cents that embracing it, drawing tools, use a ray, use a horizontal line. Safia, if you're comfortable on 7, stay on 7 for a while. 7's not going anywhere. I don't know, X-Romance. That's a technical question. Better saved for the IT guy. Gary, you'll be drawing on the 21. You'll be drawing just the lines on the 21, Gary, and they're going to put them where you need them to be on your 5-1. They're going to put them where you need them to be on your 13-2. NG time. My workspace that I downloaded does not have tick data. I would encourage you to go to either Tech or the NinjaTrader chat room and Discord on the other side. I don't have the technical answer for you. I'm not going to make one up because I don't want to be wrong. Absolutely, Cal. 21.3. You can build any size time frame you want. Do you need it, Cal, to take a high probability trend trade? I'm of the opinion that you don't need it, especially when on NinjaTrader 7, those synthetics, don't they show up already? Sorry, guys. As we go past the 12 o'clock hour, I'm going to set up my charts for trading. And you know what, Bobby? That's what I'm doing, and that's what I intend to do for a little while longer. I'm loading up my workspace right now. Whoops. That's not it. I can't seem to take a picture. Same thing, Bobby. NinjaTrader 7's loading right now. I'm using 8 for execution. I've never had a problem with it. Never had a problem with it. So embrace it, guys. You're good. Everything's going to be fine. It's only drawing a couple lines on your chart. That's it. We're drawing from the 21 so that we can put it on the other time frames. We'll do it tomorrow morning if I open up 8, or we'll do the whole tutorial again. Guys, if you have NinjaTrader 8 and you're going to go that direction, practice. If you're on NinjaTrader 7 and you're super comfortable with it, don't feel compelled to change yet. But it's easier for us to not surprise you and say, hey, guess what you have to do today? Suck it up. We're tiptoeing into the hot tub because it feels really hot initially, but once you kind of ease into there, everything works out. Cool, guys? Good class today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to be here. Thank you for all the questions. Thank you for all the charts. Thank you for all the posts and the questions that you guys put in here. I can't tell you what a great job you do of making this class informative. Claire says she would recommend to make the change early. Guys, enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Remember to stand up and stretch for a minute. Give your brain a break. Stick to your rules. Write your plan. Guys, stay hyper-focused on what's best. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and we're going to do it all over again. You guys take care. Be good.